coming at you live from the pandemic, and I'm going to be making very loud noise. Jesus. Do I have coronavirus? I don't know. This is what we're going to be finding out today on Get Up Podcast episode 42 with your boy, Josh Dohy. Hey, that's me. Welcome. If you've been here before, take a seat. If you haven't been here before, let me tell you something about how the podcast works. I sit down and I talk over myself, and sometimes, hey, I don't talk. Just kidding. It's not weird and something like that. I just sit here and talk, and then sometimes it's funny. Sometimes I just say random shit. Sometimes I say things I will regret and I remove them later, so you'll never actually hear them. So do you want to just have a seat and check it out? If not, whatever, maybe just like hit that like button on the way out. Just kidding. Yo, what's up, guys? This is my YouTube tutorial on how to hit the like, comment, and subscribe button. If you just take that web scrolling bar on the side and just gonna make it go all the way down and just hit that like button, comment, and describe what you think the video may have been during the shooting. What does he mean by shooting? I meant, well, the video is being shot, but you could have interpreted that it could have been from a school shooting, right? There hasn't been a whole lot of those recently because what? Schools are open right now? I don't know. Because we're live from the pandemic, right? Yes, if you're watching this in the future, this has been recorded on Wednesday, January 27th. We apparently, from someone I heard on the Joe Rogan Show, everyone's favorite podcast, I learned that we have apparently passed the peak of the virus. I guess that means it's all downhill from here. But like in a good like way. But you can't say things are going good when they're going uphill, because like there's not a whole lot of good shit that happens on the uphill. So it's like really either way that you're on the hill, like it's not that great unless there's like a slide or something, like you have like skis, something you can place on your feet when it's snowing. Whoa. Went down a little journey there. What am I sipping? Oh, you might be wondering, beverage enthusiasts. I'm drinking yerba mate in this brand new French press. Can we get a round of applause, Jovy? That's right. We are a two French press household because Jovy has gotten into French press coffee, and we seem to be waking up at the exact same time these days. So right as I'm about to go up and get up and make coffee, he has finally just like put the kettle on, and I'm like, fuck, because I can hear that from my bedroom. Like I'm like laying there and I'm like, I want coffee. And then I just hear the click of the kettle, like, coffee time. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, shit, man. So I got myself the original French press. Apparently, I went to the little hardware store. That's where I live. If you follow me on any social media, I've made it fairly obvious where I live. Could that be a risk down the line? So I've heard, because it would be nice to be a person of influence and perhaps to be famous one day. But one thing I've read from like the experience of being famous is that putting your address online, not a great idea. So already I'm not doing so great. There's some recent resources that I had sent to me in a newsletter that I actually read called 5 Bullet Friday by Tim Ferriss. And basically he just gives you 5 brief points, like what he's listening to this week, or here's a quote he's thinking about, or here's this, or here's that. And one of the things that he included with his 5 Bullet Friday was an article about why you shouldn't want to get famous, and just like all of these like little things that happen in the person's life to make them feel like they wish they weren't famous ever, like having death threats sent to you and stuff like that, and being held hostage online and shit like that, like just like people hacking your account, threatening to like hurt people you love. Like that's pretty crazy. But after reading that, I was like, yeah, I still want to be famous. So that's kind of weird. Not exactly the healthiest decision, right? And you know what? That's not even really the goal with the pursuit. The pursuit is just to do things you enjoy, and maybe hopefully you enjoy the life that you live. And for me, the life that I want to live is one where I am paid for the things I enjoy doing, like podcasting and stand-up comedy and stuff. And I just decided to start talking to you guys about goals and dreams. That's my favorite thing to talk to people about at the gym, because I work at a parkour gym, Origins. Shout out Origins. They're the best parkour gym. Awesome. When I'm at the gym, my favorite thing to ask people is, what are your goals for training today? Because like that's excellent to be asked that. Like, and from like it's a really beneficial exchange of information because like I like hearing what other people's goals are for themselves because it helps me think about my goals for myself. And then if you ask someone what their goal or intention is for a session, it actually helps solidify like what they want to do for that session because not everyone thinks about what their goal is for a training day, but like if you just ask them, then they'll have created a goal for themselves and then they can progress better because progressing is all about setting goals and achieving them. If parkour's taught us anything, right, fellow parkour guys, I think it's all parkour guys that listen to this, my fucking homies, my boys, or maybe I don't know who else would be listening to this. Maybe my mom. I ask her not to listen to this. I don't want her to know that I can be like this. But then I'm like, what is this? You know, I'm more expressive. Um, Smoke a little weed. That's something she's not exactly a fan of because ooh, where to even begin with this without things getting overly deep? She thoroughly believes it's a gateway drug and should be avoided until I turn 25. But I'm about to turn 25 this year, so then I'm gonna be like, Mom, check out this spliff I'm rolling this weekend. Like whatever fucking weed people say. Mom, check out this bong I just bought. Like I'll do that. Because I guess I'm a weed guy now because I've been smoking weed like pretty much on the daily. It's just become like a thing. Like it's nice to like smoke it at the end of the day, and like I honestly can't like fault myself for it. Like honestly, I don't use it at inopportune times, and for that, anytime I try and judge myself for using it, which is something that I'm prone to doing, I'm just like, no, I'm chilling. I'm having a good time. Like I'm getting all this stuff I need to get done, and done. Anyway, let's sip our yerba mate now, everybody. Ugh, the language. That is a subject of racial dispute. That is a I had to shout that at people this past weekend. That was the role that I had for the film Yang by my friend Stanton Chong as the director. That was a really fun gig. And just now I realized that I haven't filled anyone in on what happened. So to catch you guys up, my friend Stanton Chong, who I've worked with a few times on smaller projects, he has started making larger projects and bringing in like pretty large size film crews and bringing together a lot of people to shoot these larger scale projects. Like the thing that I was in last weekend will probably be about 20 to 30 minutes. If you can make the calculation, like one page length is a minute long. Like apparently with a script, each page is about a minute of runtime on the film. I don't know. That's the thing you learn as an actor. But anyway, so he wrote me into this this film, which was really fucking cool, and I'm really excited. I was really happy and excited about and honored that he did that. And so I finally shot it, and it was fucking fun, dude. Like the cast was fantastic. The stunt guys were great. Like it was just an overall very enchanting experience because it's a good reminder that that's what I'm working towards as an actor because I haven't booked any like major movie jobs or TV jobs since I've signed with my agent. And it like sometimes I feel weird just auditioning all the time and not hearing any yeses and you know, not with auditions you don't even get to hear criticism. You just like send out an audition and then never hear back about it or anything. But being on a film set with people who I really enjoyed being around, like I knew like a solid portion of the crew there and then became friends with another solid portion. Like there were so many familiar faces on set. I felt so creatively enabled. It was just the sickest thing. Like it was really nice doing that because that's a reminder of what I'm working towards. And sometimes you can get a little lost in the sauce when you're doing so many auditions and stuff. And when you're auditioning for stuff, there's not always roles that you're like 100% right for. But it was nice to have a role that was like 100% right for me, aside from like the racist part. That was definitely a weird thing to have to do in front of a large group of people. I had to just like my lines as the character were like basically just shouting at people for not speaking English and just like being overall racist. And I knew that was going to be awkward, especially considering like Stanton works a lot with the Asian film community. So I knew that a lot of the crew would also be from somewhere or have ethnic roots somewhere in Asia. I don't know how to say this stuff properly these days. But so that made me extra self-conscious because I was yelling at people for like speaking Chinese and stuff. So before we started rolling on everything, but before we started, like got the cameras rolling and got any kind of momentum, when I got to the location we were shooting at, which was a Chinese market, when I had the floor, like I walked in, I was like, shit's about to get real racist in here. And everyone knew what was going to happen because they'd read the script, hopefully, or else they just had no context. And I just said that, which I just thought of right now. So yeah, I got everyone's attention. And I just like, I said that, things are about to get real racist. My lines are racist, but that's not actually how I feel. I just wanted to apologize for it in advance, just this once, and then I don't have to ever think about it again. So I did that, and that felt really good. I felt like that really enabled me, like just being able to address that in front of people. Like I know just as an actor, it's my job to just read the words off the page, but I kind of felt like I also needed to make sure that the people who were working on set didn't, think that was actually what I set out to do. I set out to do it because it was the character, not because that's how I feel as a person. And that's also the weird part about being an actor is like you, as part of your job, you are forced to think in ways that you wouldn't normally think. Like for me to portray, to exist as that character, I had to open up my mind to a different way of thinking, to a way of thinking that I would never imagine doing, and definitely never imagine doing to the extent where I'm throwing candy at Chinese workers in a fucking market and swearing at them, being like, "Oh, does anyone speak English in here?" Like that. Like that definitely wouldn't be me. But I had to just imagine, like, what would I be like if I was that person? Because that's basically what happens when you're a character. It's like someone's like, "What would this person be like speaking these words and doing these actions?" And I guess that's what they're looking for in the audition process. One of the things that really bugs me about self-tapes is that, how do I start this? Like back when you could audition in person for things, if you had made the wrong choices, but still made strong choices, the casting director would see that and then nudge you in the correct direction. And then you could take their direction and do it. And so now that we don't have a casting director there present to give us a second shot, to nudge us in the correct direction, we just have to have like a really good choice right off the bat and like have it be pretty damn correct, which is not always the case. And I that's troubling for me because it's difficult for me as an actor to make the exact correct choices. Like that's a skill that I'm working on. Like I definitely wouldn't say that it's like some fixed trait of mine, like something that will never change, that like I don't make the best choices on a script, because sometimes I'll just choose, like it's hard for me to tell when I have to choose what would be right for the script as opposed to like what would I do. And so sometimes I think those choices that I bring, for example, I had to in my acting class play a character who was ex-military, and I wasn't able to fully communicate his toughness and stuff. And fuck, why was I saying that? I just lost my train of thought. Jovy, what was I saying?
You don't make good character choices sometimes.
Oh, yeah. So I had chosen for this military character to be very emotionally open in the scene. And one thing I had not taken into account was like the effects of like just being like a very super like traditional idea of masculine soldier, who was not so in touch with his feelings and would get irrationally angry. Because I guess as a person, as Josh, I just imagine other people have as much emotional control as I do. And it's definitely not the case. It's not even close to the case. it's so not. Because like I choose my characters to be very open about their feelings, and most films don't want that. Like, because a lot of people don't act based on how they feel. And that's a kind of an interesting indicator of like where society is at sometimes. It's like we have these ideals of how people are to think or to act. Like, for example, this assumption that this soldier would be very traditionally masculine. It's weird that that is our idea of masculine, like our like the idea of masculinity that we're meant to portray is one that's not so in touch with their feelings. That's like that's weird. Like basically they like I see that what is being expected of me is to play a male who is not in tune with his feelings and lets them get the best of him sometimes. And that's like an interesting thing to think about, that that is the idea of masculinity that we've been taught to portray. And then like you grow up and you're like, oh wait, like masculine energy is so like different and weird and can definitely be in touch with their own emotions. Whoa. Because that was another, that was the thing that was a roadblock that I ran into while trying to portray this character, was just being too emotionally open. And like I guess Vancouver softened me up a little bit. And then I watched the tape, and I was told that I did pretty well that class. And I understand why they said that now. But I watched the tape and I was like, damn, I could have done so much better. Like I could see myself going so slow and looking at the script off of camera. The emotions were correct, and the journey was correct, but the words and the speed and the beats were just not there. And I think that could have been fixed by just working on the lines longer, but we didn't get much time with those scenes, and then I was too busy on set doing that project with Stanton. But it was interesting. At first, I felt kind of weird when I watched the video of myself acting and I didn't like it, and I knew that other people had said that I had done well. I was like, what is their standard for me? Like that, it just called into a lot of question. Like it called into question a lot of things, and then I really thought about it, and I was like, maybe they weren't complimenting me on my memorization skills. They were applauding my actual acting skills and like my ability to be in the moment and make choices and stuff, because that was something that was present. And I guess one thing I hope for my coming acting class is that I will be a little tighter with the words, and then I can, you know, potentially portray an equal amount of emotion and be equally invested in the scene. So that's cool. That's kind of part of that's part of progressing in anything, is the balance of progression, like balancing, you know, being on top of my words, but also being on top of my presence in the scene. That's a pretty tough balance. It's kind of like being an athlete and focusing on flexibility, and then having to focus on strength, because strength without flexibility doesn't always get you there, but strength with flexibility will, and flexibility without strength, you'll probably break on the way there. Like that's, I don't know, that's just like a weird balance principle, I guess. But I see the same principle in line learning and presence in a scene, like and emotional investment and making choices, because I'll finish with this on acting classes. I was really happy to see like where my whole class had gotten to in terms of acting skill. Like everybody did very well. And that was cool. Like I like when you have an acting class of people who are committed and, you know, giving it their all and just really giving it a shot. And sometimes giving it your all doesn't mean, how do I say this? Like it doesn't mean trying your hardest. Sometimes it just means being there and doing it when you don't feel like it. I don't know. Maybe that's just the way things go. Jovy, what are we at for minutes right now? 19. Wowzers. Wowzers in my trousers. Well, I think I'm going to call it there. We'll make it a quick 19. And I'm honestly not even going to judge myself for it. I think that 19 minutes is a nice podcast length. If you liked it, awesome. If you didn't, go fuck yourself. Thank you, James and Wes and Brody. And fucking, if Kevin's here, if Greg is here, if Gavin's here, I don't know. Could be anyone. Anybody could be here. Or maybe it's just me talking to a camera. Anyway, I'll catch you on the flippity flop, and make sure you Wash your body with soap. Damn it, man.